The next tool needed for the clinical phase is the clinic network. What is the purpose of a clinic network? First, it's to help patients find specialists. You can build a Find a Doctor map, for example, on your website. Develop access to centers of excellence all over the country. Standardize quality of care. Facilitate patient recruitment for clinical trials and increase awareness among the physicians. How to develop the clinic network? First, identify expert clinicians in your disease. Build a clinical community. Promote leadership. Fund and provide training for physicians. Create a clinical care advisory board. And finally, implement standard of care. This, of course, has a cost. Support stipends between $5,000 to $10,000 per center and per year. The choice of endpoint is extremely important in clinical trials. An endpoint is a primary outcome that is being measured by a clinical trial. A clinical trial might use a clinical endpoint or a surrogate endpoint, which is predict clinical benefits, such as biomarkers, for example. Ideally, surrogates are established or validated, which means that they are proven to predict clinical benefits. However, for rare disease, surrogates that have not been validated, but rather reasonably likely to predict clinical benefit, might be accepted in basis of the FDA's accelerated approval pathway. According to the FDA, endpoints are not necessarily what key opinion leaders or clinicians usually measure. It should be the points that matter for the patient. When to define endpoints? As soon as you can, because it takes years. How to define endpoints? You should do it during the patient-focused drug development, the PFDD, and also from natural history, retrospective, prospective, and longitudinal. If a natural history is not available in your disease, gather key opinion leaders and as much patient as you can, and identify a battery of outcomes and measures. Repeat that after 18 months and compare the results and determine the points of progressions. Try to develop a broad spectrum of endpoints. Find one that is clinically meaningful. The other endpoints will serve to complement that endpoint, because it is difficult to predict which one will work in a patient. To ease the process, remember that you can borrow clinical endpoints that have been developed for other diseases and attune them for your patients. For example, neurological measures, the 6 minutes walk test. Rare diseases have complex phenotypes, but some overlaps and are common to several diseases.